Hello there. So the Prime Minister has called in the military as part of Operation Red Meat. Boris Johnson, together with his Tory supporters, are engaged in two major operations, but both are tied to one objective: to save Boris and the Tories. The first of these is Operation Save Big Dog, part of which is a plan to clear out and replace Number 10 staff to get rid of the now public, toxic and boozy practices. The other is Operation Red Meat, where populist measures will be taken to boost the PM's public approval ratings. And part of Operation Red Meat is the intention of bringing in the military to do what the border force obviously can't do. That is, clear up the mess of the English Channel red carpet for all comers. But there are huge caveats, as I'll come on to in a minute. The Times reports, the Prime Minister will give the Royal Navy primacy over all government vessels in the Channel this month in one of a series of populist announcements as he faces pressure to quit over Downing Street parties. And it also goes on to say that a Rear Admiral will be put in charge of directing the Border Force, the Coast Guard, Fisheries Protection and Customs and Excise in the conduct of surveillance and interception of those crossing the Channel with the intention of entering the UK. And also that there will be new migrant hubs for processing incomers. I thought we already had those. And the Chief of Defence Staff Admiral Sir Anthony Radakin wants actions taken to make sure that no one gets to the UK on their own terms. Now, my understanding of this is that the boats will not be stopped and turned around. There will be no military action led by the Royal Navy ramming or forcing vessels out of UK waters. All that will happen is that more boats will be detected and intercepted by UK enforcement activity. But the occupants will still be brought into the UK for processing. The only aim here is to ensure we catch and process as many as possible and not have people arriving undetected on beaches and disappearing into the underground economy. So do not be misled into thinking that numbers will immediately drop in any meaningful way. And because more are detected, intercepted and processed, the strain on the public purse will inevitably be increased. The UK military is as bound by UK and international law as the border force is. The Royal Navy can no more ignore the law than you or I can. They are also bound by clear rules of engagement. They have as much a duty to save lives as the RNLI does. So if anyone harbours thoughts of tough military action driving people back, you can dismiss them. It's not going to happen that way. Now, another prong of Operation Red Meat is to open processing centres in places like Ghana and Rwanda and fly irregular migrants over there to be checked out. And the UK government is prepared to pay what it takes to get this done, it appears. But the problems start when those plans become public. There may well be countries out there whose governments would quite like the idea of receiving what could amount to be hundreds of millions of pounds a year to help us out. But once it becomes public, the international opprobrium knocks it on the head. Remember the plan the government was developing with Albania last year? That quickly died once it became public. And organisations like the EU that want to see the destruction of the UK will do all they can to ensure that the people they actively send to us stay here in the UK. And if the EU and US, for example, threatens humanitarian sanctions on those countries that help us, then we're facing a bit of an uphill struggle. Then there's the matter of the flights themselves. We'd end up with lawyers and activists ensuring that every plane was emptied of passengers for appeal purposes before it left the gate. Then there'd be the legal actions brought by activists in the country we send them to. And I would also surmise that international organisations like the UN and ECHR would start looking to outlaw such practices on the international stage. After all, they believe in global freedom of movement, especially for asylum-seeking purposes, and anything that gets in its way, they will do all they can to dismantle. The only way around this might be to repurpose part of a territory we already control, and set up a barracks for all the human rights lawyers to live in too. So Operation Save Big Dog could end up as Operation Flogging a Dead Horse, and the only Tory and Boris bounce in the polls we see might be a dead cat bounce. And another thing to consider is that adding some extra naval vessels into the mix just gives the people traffickers more ferry space from which to profit from their operations. They won't view it as anything other than an expanded opportunity. And should casualties occur, the traffickers know that it will be the UK that is blamed, not them and their heartless profiteering. Now, many could view bringing in the military as a lack of confidence by Boris in his Home Secretary Priti Patel. But I say the move is more born of desperation, brought on by the knowledge that boat crossings will probably be tenfold what they were last year. 28,000 people last year by boat alone could become 250,000 this year when you factor in the newer covert small aircraft trafficking operations and those using the traditional ferry and tunnel routes. We're up to 500 by boat already this year, far more than January 2021, and it's midwinter. At the end of the day, isn't it strange that it's far easier to force visiting top-level sports people out of a country than it is to stop hundreds and thousands of unwanted visitors? Anyway, the UK is a civilised country, and civilised countries are meant to welcome all comers with open arms, whatever their intentions may be. And we are expected to accept them even if those visitors blatantly lie to the authorities about their age, their criminal history and country of origin. As a civilised country, we are then expected to house them, feed them and give them all the money and healthcare they require. And the only people we can safely leave homeless and starving on our streets are UK-born nationals with mental health issues or who fall on hard times, especially if they've served in the armed forces for their country. And all the while, we pour money down the bottomless pit of foreign aid. And has any of this brought us any international praise or recognition? Does anyone ever thank us for being so civilised? In fact, we hear more stories of discontent at what we do offer, whether it be food, accommodation or the size of the telly they're given. This is not contributing towards a cohesive UK society, and ordinary people are getting more and more upset about this. And I can only conclude that those facilitating this situation are intent on damaging the UK. But what do we do about it? Letting an ever-increasing number in will eventually bankrupt us, and taking active steps to turn them away will cause offence. We have a choice to make. So, what's your opinion on Operation Red Meat? Please like and comment below. Please subscribe and like this video, buy a mug and support me on Patreon or PayPal, and thank you for watching.